Live.
Olá, boa tarde, sejam muito bem-vindos ao Esports 101, mais um episódio aqui, dessa vez com mais um convidado diretamente dos Estados Unidos, Massachusetts. Então, já prepara o inglês de vocês aí que vai ser necessário. E para quem está querendo estudar fora, conhecer um pouco como que é o Collegiate Esports lá nos Estados Unidos, aqui é o seu momento. Fica aqui para saber dicas de como entrar no mercado de esportes e também conhecer mais o nosso convidado. So today we are welcoming Brandon. He is a Esports Coordinator at Endicott College. Through his career, Brandon has focused on using esports as a tool for education, leadership, and student development. So under his leadership, Endicott recently won the National Championship in Rainbow Six Siege. So, well, Brandon, welcome to Esports 101. Have a nice to be here with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's some of the nicest stuff people have said about me, so I appreciate the nice toss up there. So, and yeah, we're pretty proud of the. I know Rainbow Six is very popular in your country, so we're pretty proud of that one. We worked hard for that one. So,
I can give you one small spoiler. It's not 100% sure yet, but our first podcast, alive in the real world, is going to be in Ubisoft with the Rainbow Six girls. It's going to be really nice.
That's a big market tease, my friend. Wow.
Brandon, we usually do like a small and really bad presentation by purpose because we want for you to present yourself. Who is Brandon? How you starting the game? Tell me a little bit more about you.
Who is Brandon? That sounds like such a metaphysical way to toss things up. I love it.
Like
I love
the
it, man.
interview one, you know, the interview when you are going to get a job.
It's like it's like I'm on 60 Minutes talking to Mike Wallace. You know, it's a very popular news program here in America. No, no. So I kind of have a unique entry into esports, and I know a lot of people's journey into this industry are fairly unique. But you know, I actually started out. So I'm born, raised, going to die here in Boston, which is historically a very proud city for sports, traditional sports, you know, with the Red Sox, Patriots, the Celtics, the Bruins. And so I grew up wanting to be a sports writer. I want to work in the media. And I had an opportunity at 25 years old to hitch a ride with ESPN, which I don't know if you're familiar with that, and also work for the New England Patriots, which is the that football team. And so really a lot of it was you know, media stuff covering high school football and hockey and basketball and what have you, but also kind of building a brand from the ground up. You know, it was a new vertical that they were building. And so I kind of had the itching, you know, as my media career went on, of like, you know, I had so much fun building the marketing side of things, you know, building the brand out that, you know, if I had an opportunity to go into marketing, I you know, whether it was sports or something else, I would take a shot at it. And so, you know, I had gotten laid off at the end of 2017 from my media jobs. Media is kind of going through one in 2026, you know, as it was back then. But I had opportunity. A couple of my former colleagues had landed at a company. I'm not sure how popular it is where you are, but it's called Huddle, HUDL. They're a global video analysis software company. They do a lot of the video analysis for English Premier League, for some of the Bundesliga teams, La Liga, and you know, I manage all American football. I ran some of the most successful marketing campaigns there. A couple years in, look, I you know, football has been my entire life. It's what I love more than anything else. But I had kind of gotten the itch to try something new. An old mentor of mine from the Patriots had hitched a ride in esports and convinced me to come over to what was called Oxygen Esports at the time. They owned a Call of Duty League franchise, Overwatch League franchise, as well as franchises in Rainbow Six, Rocket League, Apex Legends. There was one other, escapes me at the moment, Valorant. But they had been looking to do, actually scale some marketing. They hadn't done a lot of marketing emails. And I had run a really successful newsletter at Huddle that went up to 250,000 football coaches a year and connected to 100K in revenue. So, I kind of built that. And then about a year in, I had actually gotten my master's degree from Endicott College, where I work now, during COVID. As I was looking to pivot my career, Endicott has a really strong sport management program. We have a lot of alums working for the Boston Celtics, the Boston Red Sox, DraftKings, New Balance. New Balance is headquartered right about 10 minutes from where I live. So, it was really good. But they were looking to hire an esports coordinator, and we had kind of connected over the summer of 2023, and things came together pretty quickly. They didn't have a facility yet, and so I had a significant part in the design of our facility, which opened in the fall of 24. But really, everything was kind of what I am used to is building from the ground up. And I have some great colleagues here who have been very supportive in the way I am building it. So I probably talk way too much about my background, but that's long twisting journey here, if you understand, so but yeah, that's kind of I can tell you, look, I've been in a lot. I've worked for some of the most reputable companies on earth, and I let me tell you, man, esports has been by far the most welcoming, the most inclusive, the most supportive. This is one of the coolest industries I have ever been involved in my career. So I'm really happy to be involved in esports.
Great. So there's the reason you're going to be a esports person and not a esports and traditional sports anymore, right?
Sure. Well, so to me, my attraction to esports, it really is kind of the entrepreneurial spirit. You know what I mean? When I say it, when you work in esports, you wear many hats, and that kind of lifestyle has always appealed to me. And creatively, I really get into creative, and the swings you can take creatively in esports, you could never do in traditional esports. I know I wasn't going to talk about auction today, but if you look at the Boston Breach, the Call of Duty League franchise, and you look at their color scheme, they're famous for where they're wearing these black masks when they go to live events. It kind of looks like, I don't know if you watch sci-fi shows, but Mr. Robot. That was the first thing that came to mind when I saw this thing for the first time. And I'm like, goodness, if I was working for the Red Sox, I could never do that. And, in a place like esports, that's, trying new things, really kind of getting creative with it. That's that's the norm, not the exception. So I thought it was a really, really cool place to, and especially the way I build here, I really preach the idea of creator economy, of entrepreneurship, influencer marketing. I think pre-COVID, with a lot of mainstream companies, was kind of a really niche thing, and now you see with some of the biggest companies in the world, it is the strategy, right? And so this is something that esports was well ahead of the curve on. And so I think it's a really good space for college age students to learn about building their own brand, learning about creator economy and how that all works. So.
Yeah, esports like a blank canvas. You can put to your
100%.
Yeah, what you want to create in this industry. It's because it's so. I see more women in leadership.
Yeah.
I see you can compete among themselves, not against each other. So I think it's the beauty of sports.
Yeah. And on the women, on the women in leadership role, I do want to add Endicott, our college. We are more than 70% female student body here. This place was a women's college until 1994. And we have a very robust nursing program that we recruit heavily for. those nursing students, they love Fortnite, they love Roblox. So we have a women's Fortnite team here. It's one of the few programs in our conference that has a full-on women's team. Our outgoing president of our Esports Manager Club, she was the first female esports athlete here in our school. So we really, that's one of the things we really want to continue to scale here. But we've had a lot of fun with it too. They're also very good creators themselves. They're very active on TikTok. One of them has, I think at last count, 85,000 TikTok followers. So yeah. So she could probably tell you guys more about how creator content works than I could sitting up in front of the classroom. But yeah, so that is something I do want to mention because you said that, but it right on board with you, 100%.
Before I ask a question, I have to say that Mariana is just sending the final project for the post-graduation. If you want one more girl, she's available for you.
Yeah, let's go. All right, come on in. Come on in.
She has just 2 more weeks here in Brazil that she has to be because we were together in a post-graduation. But after she's...
You guys would fit in very well where I live in Framingham, Massachusetts. We have a very huge Brazilian immigration population here. Downtown is going to be nuts for the next month. Oh
yeah,
you're gonna see a lot of Neymar jerseys running around. You're gonna see a lot of. I already see it at my daughter's school. The Brazil flags, hanging around the school. So we're very excited here for the World Cup.
We are coming for a 6-star.
Just to understand a little bit about your history, we usually ask 2 things: that what you did in education, like the bachelor, the master, and how game was important for you.
So, I have a master's degree in athletic administration from Endicott. I got my undergraduate bachelor's at University of Massachusetts out in the western part of the state. UMass, another very good school. And I'm sorry, the second question there was about, say it again.
How important was the game for you? Have you played something before you worked in esports?
Oh, sure. Look, I have my, goodness. Listen, the thing I always talk about here, because my oldest daughter now is really into Fortnite and Minecraft. And for me growing up, I'm probably dating myself a little bit, but this is one of the examples I bring up all the time in gaming, how far it needs to come. But when I was a college age kid, if you wanted to play, the big game that was really popular for us growing up was GoldenEye. I don't know if you remember that one from Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
It was a revolutionary first-person shooter. If you wanted to play GoldenEye, if I wanted to play GoldenEye with someone besides my sister, in my house, I had to go make friends in the lunchroom. Now, if I want to play Fortnite with my 8-year-old nephew down in Tennessee, I basically hit 2 buttons on the Nintendo Switch. That's a remarkable leap forward for technology in basically 20 years. So gaming, to me, it's always been the great bridge. Especially, another example, it's I think probably the first game I fell in love with growing up was Sonic the Hedgehog. And the relationship I had with Sonic the Hedgehog is now the relationship that my daughters have with Sonic the Hedgehog. And so the storytelling, the character development in gaming can transcend generations if it's done right. So does that answer your question about my?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And the people in our audience is young people, freshmen in the college and the university, starting their career. So looking back to your first year of career, the younger Brandon getting to the first office. So what was the biggest challenge for you starting your career, not in sports, but your career in general?
That's a great question. The thing I a thing I always encourage students just starting out is don't be afraid to put yourself out there. When I first got to college, I think the first day I got there, I went down to the college newspaper office and asked if there was any openings to write for the newspaper. And this was before social media, so now that's actually opened up a lot more avenues. Here at Endicott, so one of the things I think is a real strong draw for us is our career development program. All undergraduates here are required to complete 3 internships before they're allowed to graduate. But we'll also have dedicated internship teachers who work with them on creating LinkedIn profiles and working with them on social media strategy. And so I think for someone 19, 20 years old who's looking to stand out, the most important thing I can say is put yourself out there. Something else too is have something to say that maybe not everyone agrees with, but like in here that it is absolutely true. And I think a lot of great innovation comes from that, right? What do you know to be true that most people disagree with? But I guess like put yourself out there. The other thing too, and again, another reason why I love esports, when I talk about this being the most inclusive, most open sourced, the amount of connections I have made, deep connections I've made with people just by cold messaging them on LinkedIn, kind of like how Marcel, how we connected here, frankly. But like, I'll give you a great example. My first semester teaching esports here at Endicott, I think at the beginning of class, I asked the students, hey, if I try to reach out to some guys for some guest speakers, is there anyone you'd like to try to get? And someone said Red Bull. Red Bull, obviously a huge name in the gaming space, right? Mm-hmm. I found someone from Red Bull who worked in the gaming division just through some LinkedIn connections, cold messaged a guy. A week later, he was talking to our class. And it was just by having the guts to just say, hey, you know somebody who knows somebody. People here in this industry love talking, and they love talking about their craft. I always say 9 out of 10 people love talking about their like 9 out of 10 creatives love talking about creativity, and a 10th one that don't probably ain't worth talking to anyways. So do not be afraid to cold message people and kind of like, hey, I understand you did this. Can I ask some questions about how you did it? Like that kind of stuff. But put yourself out there, take a stand on something, publish. I can't stress this enough. Publish where you can. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
Yeah, what you said now is basically about 90%, I think, Mariana, that people who is working in esports say you have to put yourself, you have to do the best you can, especially when you are like in college or something like in a bachelor. Yeah. It's time for you fail. It's time for you try new things,
Yeah, and I get for kids it might be nerve-wracking. Like, what if you put some out there and it stinks and people hate it and you get ratioed, right? But like, no, I just think that playing it safe at that age is risky. If I hadn't had the guts to, I got my first byline on newspaper when I was a 17-year-old high school senior, because I decided to, spend my last period of class going to my local newspaper, answering the phones, taking down scores. But I guess I've never really been afraid to just try to cold reach out to people and just ask them questions. Just kind of curious about their craft. And so I just think that's the best way to learn, and that's the only way to get out there. People got to know who you are. So, yeah. And obviously when they know who you are, your stuff's got to be awesome. But like the first step is them knowing who you are.
And how did the opportunity of become like more than just a viewer of esports come about for you? Because you said that someone, like I imagine that Endicott needed a coordinator for esports, but how it come for you?
Yeah, I think, well, for one, there were some folks at Endicott that I had actually worked with at the Boston Globe about 15 years prior that, reached out to me, hey, we got this opening. Do you know anybody who'd be interested? I'm like, heck yeah. I had always kind of wanted to get into academia at some point in my career, and especially for higher ed, where you have a lot of colleges that are looking to implement esports curriculum, but they sometimes have a hard time finding qualified applicants. Having a master's degree is pretty integral, I think, to working in higher ed. So, and this is a young industry, right? So, but I guess the other thing, like, may wind it back a little bit. Kind of because having a director title on my resume in esports definitely opened eyes elsewhere. My challenge getting there was, hey, these guys didn't believe in from my marketing background, I've always believed in two channels as like what I would call the secret sauce of any marketing campaign. One is email newsletters, and two is paid social. And these guys didn't really believe in that. They kind of believed in, kind of hanging on Discord and, gamers don't check their email. Well, it turns out they really freaking did, but I was willing to challenge them and say, hey, listen, I have the scoreboard here. I've done this for other industries, and my universal truths can work here. And you give me a month, it'll be your best lead gen channel. And they went back and offered me a job, not really knowing what the job was, just, hey, let's get them aboard. And I might have been a couple of weeks off, but like very quickly, what I said was true, and it was a tremendous lead gen channel for us because evidently gamers do check their emails. People check, on their phones or whatever. So, does that answer your question?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm not trying. Okay. I had a challenge, and I was willing to challenge, the way things have been done. So. That I think is important too. And I tell kids this all the time, like when I'm building teams, because I've had this a couple times in my career where I am kind of in charge building a team. I myself always want to surround myself with people who are willing to challenge the way I think. Gen Z, like this is an industry where Gen Z, Gen Alpha can really tell people like me what the strategy should be. And, like everything I'm telling you guys right now, one day it might not be true, right? It might not. Sorry, that's my cat's making a cameo here. But her name is Kiwi. She's 16 years old and she's going on strong, man. She's amazing. Yeah, she's very, very, very pushy, but she's great. No, what was I even saying there? I kind of lost my train of thought here. I guess, like when I'm building teams, I want to surround myself with people who are going to be willing to question things and try to look for the second right answer, because every right answer is eventually the wrong one. And so, not everyone agrees with that. But for me, it's worked very well for my career. And so again, like, be willing to question the way things are done, be willing to have a challenge. And that's not to say just throw avant-garde crap against the wall, but be willing to think differently and question things. And again, that's why I say take a stand on something, publish, be willing to stand on something that to be true that not everyone agrees with.
Yeah, of course. But now deep diving in esports, there's a question we love to ask to our people that we are receiving here, and that's about this esports scenario in general in your country. I know we are sharing this passion, but we live esports different between our cultures and countries. We received a Norwegian girl here that told us about the esports scenario in Norway, the Canadian girl also. And what are the main challenges and more news in esports in US nowadays? Here in Brazil, for example, we are facing regulation in esports. We are debating
Interesting.
about
I would, because I would say maybe y'all are a little further along than us as far as regulation. I think right now there's not really a lot of regulation here, and it's certainly not like it is in South Korea or anything, right? But I think right now you're seeing the after effects of kind of a gold rush during COVID, when everyone was indoors and you saw a lot of money pouring in. People thought they were going to be able to, pump some money in, make a quick buck, and exit. And I think a lot of people learn quickly you can't just take a traditional sports model, put a new layer of paint on it, and call it a day. And so we're slowly kind of rebuilding here. But I think that the problems, at least from my experiences, on the scene, and again, you talk to 100 different people, you get 100 different answers. I just think there hasn't been a reliable means of revenue profits, at least on the pro scene. I think merch fulfillment is kind of expensive, right? I also think sponsorships, I can just, for instance, from my time at Oxygen, 6 of our 7 titles were first-person shooters. That could be difficult going to like Dunkin' Donuts and saying, "Hey, would you like to, have a ticker on our screen?" Right, because of like gun violence in this country, political situation, right? So that can be kind of a for someone who's unfamiliar with esports, that can be kind of intimidating, right? So I think understanding what sponsors want, and I think community is one that a lot of people talk about, but few have actually kind of figured out. I think there's a lot of areas for improvement. But I think, just speaking from the college lens, from my experiences, the most successful collegiate esports programs are the ones that are equal parts competitive and casual, like your recreational gaming. The competitive, it's an important one. It's the one that gets a lot of attention for us, but it cannot be the entire thing, right? And especially for us, for our mandate, so we're unique here at Endicott in that our esports program is housed under academics. So the School of Sports Science, which also hosts our sport manager program, which I told you earlier has a lot of industry connections. And so I have to constantly think about everything through that lens of academics. How does this feed into curriculum? How does this feed into more students declaring esports as a minor or a major? And so I have to do things outside of just competition. We're lucky. We're unique in that we have a pub on campus. We have a bar on campus that's pretty popular during the week, and we will host watch parties there for our games. And I was able to convert a couple students into the major off of those watch parties. So it's stuff like that. Just given our student makeup, believe it or not, Roblox is probably the most participated in recreational event here. We have a lab of like 15 PCs, and we'll get 50 female students in there playing Roblox just to impress for 2 hours. It's pretty awesome. And then Fortnite is something that is overwhelmingly the most popular thing played here, and so. I have to continue to feed that as well, but we have a lot of really unique space for recreational events here, and so I have to continue feeding that. Have to continue feeding the social media side of things, the thought leadership side of things. But I think sometimes esports in this country misses the mark is lack of a diverse revenue model. I think I would say.
I laughed. I have some comments to do before the question, but I laugh because you said like you have a popular bar there, and they say, "Oh
Yeah,
my God, what a surprise! A bar famous in a college. It's
yeah,
everyone
yeah,
what everyone wants in that time."
yeah.
Uh, uh, I
Well, I'll add this too. We in addition to on-campus bar, we have 3 beaches directly across from campus. We are directly on the ocean,
oh
so
my God.
come have a
Oh my
pint and
God.
then hang out and watch a sunset. On the
Yes,
Atlantic
yes.
Ocean. So
Nice.
yeah,
Like the dream for everyone.
it is one of the things I will add here. Is we about a year and a half ago, we hosted Team Secret for a boot camp here before the Six Invitational in Boston. For a lot of those kids, that was our first time going to an American college. So I think they were like, is this what colleges is like? I'm like, no, we're not every college has a beach and you can walk on it in middle of January. So, no, we have a lot to offer here on that front too, and also Endicott owns 2 luxury hotels that we make a lot of money on during wedding season, as you can imagine. So,
Yeah. I,
but
I think
we have a really unique setup from most colleges, I think. So,
I think Mariana asked because like I didn't come from university in esports, but she was one of that. She worked in a university when she started.
yep,
In Brazil, I think it's a little bit. No, it's really different, right, Mariana?
Yeah.
When you talk about esports for students, most of part is like competing. There are
yeah,
just some people like Mariana and me who is trying to do more than competing in esports in
yeah.
university. Uh, but like the question that everyone wants to know is what someone has to do or has to be to study esports in Endicott.
What I have to do to come here to Endicott?
Yes,
Yeah.
Well,
like
come to me. Well, first of all, talk to me. We have so. We have students from 5 continents. I mean, our League of Legends team, we had a kid from Brazil on the team last year. So,
Wow.
yeah, we had So we had a League of Legends. I love telling the story because these guys, I don't think they won a game all year. They were like, but they were the funniest people. They were like super rowdy, and they were all international students. One was from Bermuda, one was from Brazil, one was from the Czech Republic, Serbia. One was from Vietnam, and the Vietnamese kid was named Tommy Lee. So we called them. I don't know if you guys are familiar with rock and roll music, but we called them the Motley Crue because Tommy Lee, that's the name of the drummer. So, but like, yeah. So anyways, no, we have, and actually, Warren Jafarian, our global dean of business, has a lot of good relationships overseas. We have exchange programs with colleges in Cork, Ireland, and Madrid, Spain. So we get a steady influx every semester of kids from Ireland and Spain. They all come to the lab one way or another. Usually they play FIFA or Fortnite or Counter-Strike. But yeah, we love our international students here, and I think we have a lot to offer for your students in Brazil. So yeah, just hit me up and I'll connect you with our global our global relations team and take it from there. 100%.
Talk to him, guys. Falem com eles.
Talk to me.
Nice.
Other question that we have about the program is how is the program? Because like I imagine that the program is a little bit about everything in esports, not just competing or social media.
Yeah.
Can you tell a little bit more about the program?
Do you mean like our esport management major? Is that you mean? Yeah. So yeah. So and I teach a lot of I teach a lot in that, as well as my colleague Dina Gentili, who's the one who actually started the esport management program before COVID. And so we do a lot of the teaching in these classes. We're a couple years into having this as a major. We've had it as a minor since 2018, or we've had curriculum at least since 2018. So we've been at this for a while. As far as the curriculum itself, you'll have intro, you'll learn about, business operations, you'll learn about, high school and college operations, player management. Traditionally, the way it was first built. There is a computer science element to our curriculum. We have talked about, I don't know if I'm even at liberty to say this, but, I have been pushing for more creator economy based curriculum within the major. So, there may be some changes coming to the major. We're academia. There's a lot of stuff people are figuring out, right? And especially this is a new kind of a new thing. But you look at other colleges. Another college that I have a strong relationship, University of West Virginia. Their eSport management curriculum is housed under the business school, and so there's more of a hospitality kind of management to it, which I think is a good way to do it because of how critical like live events are to esports, right? So, but yeah, I think. That's what I'll say. Like if you are interested in major, you'll be working pretty closely with me. And a lot of our students are pretty active with streaming, pretty active with social media, maintaining our lab. It's a very hands-on experience with the students. So
nice.
Does that answer? I don't know if I landed the plane well, but does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it answered.
Cool.
And how do you measure, I don't know if the right verb to it, but how do you measure student success? So like I'm just graduated from Endicott, and now you see your students going to the biggest esports teams or doing some research in esports. How is the path after graduation?
It's a great question because I think like the pro esports scene probably still has some maturing to do, but like working for gaming publishers and whatnot, like the goal is basically to get people, like in jobs, right? Last year, LinkedIn named Endicott number 5 college in the country for percentage of graduates with internship experience. And I'm proud to say that's better than every Ivy League school. So, but yeah, so that's success for us, for me here. Are we getting students into our curriculum, and are they getting employment afterward? That is like our number one priority here. Are they equipped for success in the workforce? A lot of, we had, our first esports major to graduate here, hitched a ride with, an esports, kind of a lounge lab, kind of gaming center, not too far from where I live, actually. He since has pivoted into working for an AI company, helping build that stuff out. He had really strong computer science jobs. Esports' role in his journey, he'll tell you straight up, like it was pivotal. It got him a lot of confidence into the workforce. So, that's what success looks like for us here is, employment in the workforce. Again, our internship program, our job placement, we take a lot of pride in it.
Andy, I imagine that you have a lot of, how can I say, examples and good and positive impact in the life of the students. Can you share one of that? You say that, it was amazing to see how this student has a progress.
Yeah, he might not even be watching this right now, but I mean he's talked about this publicly in our magazine. So I'll talk about this one student. He was our first actually eSport Management Club president, a gentleman by the name of Noah McAllister, who now works in tech in a role, and he actually had initially dropped out of Endicott from just some personal stuff, depression, and through esports, through gaming, he rediscovered a lot of passion. And he captained our first ever competitive esports team here at Endicott. And it was our Overwatch team. We didn't even have a facility yet. and this dude was like arranging practices. They were going to the library at 9:00 at night and praying that the Wi-Fi didn't crap out, and somehow we made the round of 16 at ECAC. And it was through all his hard work and dedication and kind of rediscovering his passion and what the role of the esports program had in that. He tells me, God, at least once a month, how massive it was for his life. So, and we have a lot of stories like that, people who, were kind of like trying to find their place on campus, and they discovered the esports lab, and it's a place where they can really be themselves and find friends from all sorts of walks of life. So yeah, we have a lot of stories like that I can lean into. That's just one example I'll give you guys.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
And nice. And as we said before, your guys won the national championships in Rainbow Six Siege. So congratulations.
Yeah, we won. Thank you.
Tell us what this achievement means to you, to your program, to the students.
It means a lot. So we won the NECC Division 6 National Championship in Rainbow Six Siege. Really, that is the culmination of kind of a year and a half. We didn't have a Rainbow Six team, and then we got the opportunity to host Team Secret for a boot camp. And they, of course, went on later in 2025 to win the Esports World Cup in Saudi Arabia. So we like to say, hey, they started here at Endicott. But having them on campus, I tell this to Marlon Mello, their manager, at least once a month, all our success is because of him showing up here, and that mobilized a lot of the interest on campus that was kind of siloed, and people just didn't know each other. And it was like, and they were coming to hang out with the team, like, oh wait, you play Siege, you play Siege, you play Siege. And from there, it was really a mushroom cloud. And these guys, I'm going to give a major credit to our IGL, Jamie Pinto, who had some tier 3 experience before coming to Endicott. Was also played on his high school soccer team. He was a naturally competitive kid, and he took it upon himself to do a lot of the coaching. Siege, as you know, is a very, very layered, very strategy-intensive game, right? And so he built a 90-page strat book for the team to work off of, and would do VOD, kind of screen record himself, half an hour, put it on his private YouTube channel, send to everybody else. Like, he took a lot of the reins on getting this to where it needs to be. We have some really good talent here. And I think we talked about before, Marcel, but we have a lot of athletes here on campus. We're nationally ranked in a lot of competitive sports for Division 3 in America. Mm-hmm. We just lost in extra innings in the finals of the College World Series for baseball. But one of our best players, Christian Yaks, he just graduated from Switzerland, was also goalie for our men's ice hockey team while playing on the Rainbow Six team. So that's a lot of work these guys are putting in. None of these guys are on scholarship. They're doing this out of the goodness of their heart, but they really care about one another. And their success really speaks to everything we're trying to build here, in that the kids really feel like they have a stake in the outcome and the future growth of this place. So really, that was a culmination of a lot of things that, if you create a good environment, these guys will develop good habits. And again, I love people with athletic backgrounds because their VOD habits are awesome. And they're naturally competitive. There's a lot of really good qualities in those with athletic background that make for great esports athletes here. But that was really the culmination of everything, really we stand for here at Endicott and the way that I like to build this program. So.
Nice. And that's very interesting because what skills do you see these kids gaining from esports, gaining from competitive gaming that the classroom struggle to teach these kids or young people?
Honestly, this is going to sound interesting, but like leadership skills, I think you can learn a lot about how to lead by running an esports team, right? And I also think yeah, I mean, let's look at leadership. Like I don't pretend to know how to coach these guys. Like I can't talk Siege to the depth of skill of these guys are playing, right? But what I can do is give them the support, give them the space, give them the resources for them to be their best selves. And that's a different, that's, when you're a leader, it's not about, it's not about you. It's about how it's about how the people under you are working towards that common goal. I'm kind of stumbling over my words here a little bit. I do apologize, but like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you can learn about how to lead, by running an esports team and knowing that these kids playing the game are going to just inevitably know more about the meta than you. And so what you can do as someone in my position in charge is just be in constant communication. Where can I jump in, guys? What can I do? Hey, our next game is Wednesday. Let's try to get into practices. I don't care when they are. Friggin' figure it out yourselves. Like, hey, let's just keep the group chat going, guys. Let's just, hey, let me know where I can pitch in. That means a lot to these kids. So I think it's a great way to learn about leadership here. A lot of the lessons that you take away from being part of a team and being accountable to something bigger than yourself can absolutely apply in a real world. 100%.
Yeah.
I can help with that question because I have to answer that like 1,000 times in my work.
Let's hear it, man. Let's hear it. Yeah.
I usually to say that there are some skills that they learn just playing. I'm not saying like in the program, because the program they learn a lot of things, but playing, which is like in my opinion, 2 is the most important one, especially for the new generation, is teamwork and communication. Mm-hmm. They learn how to communicate.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Communication is like I come from the events world. Like when all else fails, over communicate at all times, right? I could not agree more with that answer. Like communication, holy cow! Like, and you know this too, right? Like when you ever watch a live esports event and they do those listen-ins and you're listening to the comms for like 30, 45 seconds, it's like constant chatter, bing, 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 right? And but it's all intentional. It's all coded. It's clean, as crazy as it sounds. Like that takes a real skill, and the more you can master that, God, that translates so well into the workforce.
Especially for gaming, when you have a communication, I usually because in my university when I was doing these programs, I used to say that every game has a kind of communication. Because, for example, if you play Counter-Strike, the communication has to be really fast and clean. It's like he's there, here, because everything is so fast. For example, if you play like League of Legends or Dota, the one that I played when I was younger, you can be a little bit more, like, how can I say, more effective. Like when you can say more information in a phrase, because you have more time to think in. But in Counter-Strike, if you have to stop to say like, he's there, try to kill him, you don't have time.
Right.
It's really fast. You learn how to communicate in the time.
Yeah, and our Fortnite team's pretty good at the comms too. But like, and just understanding, like, not every, like, as much as you want to over communicate, not everything is communicate worthy. You want to keep the train, like, for instance, like, I'm dead, guys, I'm dead. Okay, how does that move things forward? Like what, like, like, okay, we get it, you're dead. What's next, right? Like clean comms, right? Like what keeps the pipe moving,
And the question is, I am saying because of me, like, how was the interest of the students has changed over the years? Because when I was doing that, the hardest part for me was make them believe that it was something for their career. How do you see that changing over the years? I used to say like 5 years, but whatever. How many the years you are there?
I don't know. I don't know if that's changed that much, because I still think we're trying to figure out what the model of sustainability looks like for esports. You're seeing you're seeing some college programs downsize. You're also seeing stuff come on the up and up. Right, I think Barstool Sports sponsors a Call of Duty team now. Right, there's still a lot we're trying to figure out, but I think for me the biggest challenge is just getting them to take that first step. That to me I use this analogy all the time. When you go to the gym, the hardest part of going to the gym is not actually the workout; it's actually tying your shoes, because theoretically, once you've tied your shoes, there's no turning back. You are now committed to the workout. And you think about on your journey to the gym, how many different touch points there are for you to just go, all right, I'll put this off till later. Right. So I think for a lot of it, it's just taking that first step. But once they take that first step, I never have to tell them again about what's going on down in the lab. Like they are a lab rat. But that's my biggest challenge right now is just that first step. We have a lot of people who are interested, but then the interest doesn't materialize into something more than just, I'll try again next semester. Hopefully we can change that this semester. Our numbers are pretty good. And again, Fortnite is something. When high school students, when elementary school, middle school students tour our campus and they see highlights up in our, we have our stream of YouTube highlights just playing on loop in the lab. The only questions they have is like, who's that kid on the Fortnite team? What's your Fortnite scene like? So now when they get to school, do they actually commit to it? Who knows? But that's been my biggest challenge right now is just having them take that first step.
And I think Marcelo and we are already convinced to go visit Endicott some point of our life. It's not
Anytime,
about
my
the
friends.
bitches and the pub.
Yeah. We also have, so Beverly, Massachusetts is the town we're in. Food Network is in the town all the time. We have a lot of nice posh restaurants that are constantly getting promoted through the media. So it's a cool little place to go to college.
Yeah, and the whole Brazilian community, the charisma, everything sounds like a dream.
I'm charismatic, huh? Jeez, wow. Goodness.
Tell us the biggest difference on the Endicott program from the other collegiate programs. Like if you are in between two programs, choose Endicott because of that. What would you say?
So what's ours? In other words, like what is our sell?
Yeah.
Okay.
1 second. You cannot say the beaches. Because if you say the
ocean vibes, man. No. I'd say our hook. Because we, some of the other schools that offer scholarships for esports. I can't. I can tell you it's a conversation it's an ongoing conversation at this school. I don't have a timeline on, but what I can tell you is. We care deeply about the student experience here and about their career development. And that's a selling point I always tell the kids is, again, all students here are required to complete 3 internships before they graduate, and we work with you on getting placement into those internship sites. And so that's going to make you a stronger student and a more attractive candidate in the workforce. Being part of the esports program here is going to make you better when it comes to that entrepreneurial spirit that is so imperative to any success in esports. So you will get a lot of hands-on experience here, both in the esports and with whatever you decide to pursue for a career here at Endicott. Whether it's business, sport management, computer science, whatever. So.
Really nice.
There's my elevator pitch.
No, don't worry. I'm going to steal the Mariana's phrase, which is "Times fly when you are having fun." So,
too much fun.
Yes.
Too much fun, brother.
You have our last question. I'm going to change a little bit of the question that I usually does, which is
Sure.
usually is like what advice you would give for someone who is starting. But I think more important for us today, because I think, I'm not sure that the coordinator of my program is listening today. What advice you would give for some educator who is want to start one esports initiative?
For an educator, you're
Yes.
saying? It's going to be the same advice that I said about students. Honestly, publish. Put yourself out there. So like I kind of had to. I've kind of put this off for a couple months because I've been on parental leave. My college is kind of going to be 12 weeks of dad time with my new son. But probably the most important thing I did when I started here was my dean gave me the blessing to start my own podcast. And that's where the podcast, I interview industry professionals. And it'll be about a different topic every time. But then I use that podcast in my classrooms. And I'll have the students respond to it. They like that better than reading out of a book. Okay. But like again, like that, all that stuff. I try to be active on LinkedIn where I can. We have a Substack newsletter that I run, and so we try to be pretty active with publishing. One discovery I've made recently on that, because my colleague Dina Gentili, she's amazing at what she does. She is super active with publishing. She publishes books. She's super active on LinkedIn. We've noticed recently that it's getting us scanned in the AI models, whether you use Claude or ChatGPT, like Endicott is popping up, and it's because of the content that we're all pushing out as a department about esports. And so, you want to make a name for yourself as an educator. Again, find some unique ways to publish and put it in the classroom. My intro class I taught last semester, I made their final project recording a 20-minute podcast instead of a paper. They said it was the best project they ever worked on. I've gone away completely almost from assigning papers because, frankly, if I'm talking to you two up in front of, like, let's say I'm looking for investment money. Let's say you guys are on Sand Hill Road there, and you've got some venture capital. Am I going to give you a term paper? No, I'm going to be putting together. I'm probably going to have 15 minutes of your time, put together a presentation to explain to you why you should invest in my company, right? So that's kind of how I approach curriculum here. So I think as an educator, it's important to understand visual learning, understand different ways you can leverage a curriculum, especially with AI, I'd say publish as much as you can and try to find different ways to leverage curriculum in the classroom.
Nice.
Nice is too much Brazilian. Nice.
Brandon,
so do I go full Borat? It's nice, right?
Yeah. But Brazilian nice is the ultimate compliment. You can.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Brandon, it's a pleasure to have you here. Do you have any additional comments? The last advice you can give us, give our audience?
Where they can find you?
Yeah, so I'll just say where you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on there. I don't know if I should drop in the chat or someone here, but like on my socials, you can just I'm B Hall Writes for everything, RITES socials. And I'll put my email address in here too if you want to follow up there. bhall1@endicott.edu. I try to get back when I can. Again, I'm on parental leave, so time's a little essence. If you happen to be in Jacksonville, Florida at the end of July, I will be speaking at the National Association of Collegiate Esports Convention for the third year in a row. So you can catch me there as well. So.
Nice.
All right. Congratulations.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, Brandon. You can.
Thank you.
Here, I'll just say goodbye in Portuguese to our audience. All right. Então, está assistindo até aqui, muito obrigada pela sua presença. Brandon is on LinkedIn, so I start to speak in English again. My brain's confused. Siga ele nas redes sociais, Brandon from Endicott College. E a gente se vê no próximo episódio do Esportes 101. Obrigada.
Thank you. Bye bye, guys.
Bye.